What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning AJ, Big Femi, Joshua, and Derek James. As trainer of the year, Derek James had something to say about the critics on Anthony Joshua's performance. And he said, quote, he said, Anthony Joshua's trainer sends message to critics. He says, be mad at me, talk about me. As he elaborates and he goes on to say, he said, I was happy because he did exactly what I wanted him to do. People say they wanted to see him do this or that. That wasn't in my plan because it's like this. When getting with someone new, you have to simplify to where he's not thinking about it. He can just do it naturally. And he finished off with saying this. He said, if anybody want to talk about Joshua, talk about me, because I did the game plans. I did the strategy. He just did what I asked him to do. Be mad at me. Talk about me, because it was all strategy. It was all game plan, and he followed it to a T. Those are the words of Derek James. And let me counterpunch. This is admirable. This is new and it's different. Why? Because a lot of times trainers, they don't take responsibility for a lot of stuff. Now, I do admit trainers at a lot of times, in most instances, get thrown under the bus, i.e. Manny Robles and, Robert Garcia, and these guys, and they lose these fights from these fighters. And then all of a sudden, these fighters want to jump ship and they want to go somewhere else because of, I guess, the default of what or not being trained or instructed to do something in the right way or at the right time or do this enough or do that enough. But in this case, Derek James is like, hey, you're going to be mad at someone, be mad at me. I told him to do exactly what I wanted him to do. And if you're a trainer, especially in a new round with a new fighter, I say it's pretty successful, And I think what's most important here is how good did these guys gel? I mean, how did they mash together? Was it a comfortable transition where he could properly communicate with AJ, then AJ properly communicate with him? I think that's best. And I think this is a good relationship because Anthony Joshua is listening and Anthony Joshua is eager to learn more stuff. And if Derek James told him to do that, that's exactly what you do. But I do agree with Derek James. There is no point that they allowed Jermaine Franklin in the fight. Because Jermaine Franklin was a guy that was waiting. He lets you and allows you to do a lot of things from the outside, which he shouldn't do being a shorter fighter, because he's basically a sitting duck. But he's kind of like an aggressive sitting duck because he's going to move his head. He's going to give you some twitch. He's going to give you some movement. But for the most part, Jermaine Franklin is going to stand there and allow you to set up whatever you're going to do. And he's going to attempt to the best of his ability to retaliate or to respond with his own attack. And most of the time, if it's a jab or a left hook, and short as he is, he's already out of range, so he can't successfully respond or counter like he should. So a lot of times his game plan is flawed by just his style of fighting, right? And Derek James is like, hey, he did exactly what I wanted him to do. So you can blame me if you want to because I'm comfortable. I'm happy about how he did what I told him to do. So, at the end of the day, if the trainer is satisfied, other people that have, like us, that have this expectation for him to do something else, well, I guess we have to sit on the standstill and wait. And if that's the case, and if he is doing everything that Derek James wants him to do, well, Derek James, I hope you tell him in the next fight to go in and destroy this MFer. Put together some combinations because that's what we want to see. That's what's going to convince people that he's back. But I listen to people talk about AJ though, and I listen to Joe Joyce, and I listen to Philip Hergovic, and I listen to a lot of fighters, like Otto Vilene, and saying, "Oh, they're ready to beat Joshua. They're ready for Joshua." And I tell you, it's like, well, how do you think and how do you know that that's going to be the game plan that Derek James set, the same one for Jermaine Franklin? Looking at Jermaine Franklin is like playing a video game that's on easy, and you're thinking, well, he's going to approach that game in the same mindset as he's going to approach an easier game. That's what I think about. But I did expect AJ to do more based on how AJ criticized Dillian White. He criticized Dillian White like, hey, he should have got him out of there. Now, to be fair, AJ did say, like, look, I do, and I did wish I did get the knockout as well. So I think a lot of people expected him to do more based on his displeasement with Dillian White, right? Because Dillian White didn't get him out of there. But I think Dillian White made a bigger impact on the way he started fighting in the last part of that fight than Anthony Joshua did. Anthony Joshua had moments, but it was very mediocre. Now, if Derek James is saying like, hey, I am the one that asked him to be mediocre, you can't be mad at AJ to that degree because he's done everything he wanted. Counterpunch. So anyway, I think it's cool. I think it's a sense of integrity by Derek James to show some ownership of how he instructed AJ to fight. He's like, hey, if you don't like it, blame me. Don't blame AJ. Because maybe AJ had another gear, or maybe AJ had another game plan in his mind based on his attitude or his personality or his desires to get Jermaine Franklin out of there. Maybe, just maybe, that may explain the in-between ruckus and trash talk, especially after the 12th round. That just may explain that, because there was still some hostility that maybe AJ didn't get out based on how Derek James wanted him to fight. Just food for thought, you guys. You guys tell me what you think of Derek James stating that it's his fault that Anthony Joshua fought the way he fought. He did exactly what he wanted him to do. If you don't like it, come see me. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!